So, you know, I had a really interesting night tonight. Not too excited at work. Got off work a little early. Slow night. Um, Decided to kill some time, and I like to go to this pub. It's walking distance from my house. Bartenders know me. I know the regulars. It's a familiar place that I like to go to. Drinks are cheap. I get I typically drink a what they call a delicious IPA. It's 275. It's 8% alcohol IPA, and I love my IPAs. Usually get one. I bumped into this dude. He's from Saudi Arabia. I forget his name's like Ismail or something like that. Uh, he just goes by the name Sam. Anyway, guy's very fucking cool. Like we sit and we talk, he lives walking distance too, and he always buys me shots, and it's like, I'm trying to kind of like, moderate my drinking. But when I'm around this guy and he keeps shoving tequila shots, I drink. I'm doing tequila. I usually drink Patron Silver, or sometimes he'll shove a Grey Goose vodka in front of me. It, I would be, rude to deny the guy. Anyway, we get fucked up there. And I wasn't planning on getting fucked up. I was planning just to have one drink. Well, he caught an Uber home, and there was another dude, and it was like late. It was like, I don't know, 1:15, 1:30. It was about last call. This dude comes in. And there's like four people in the bar. In the bar. And I sit down and I start rapping with this dude. He's a cool guy, clean cut. And we're just, chilling. He's doing shots of whiskey, something. And he's drinking Stella Artois. And we started talking and, just bullshitting. Killing time because we were about to get kicked out in about 20 minutes. Yeah, he asked me about my job. I tell him what I do. Blah, blah, blah. He's like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, I've been there before. That's cool. Blah, blah, blah. And I asked him what he did, just to make small talk. Not that I really care. Probably never see the guy again. He's like, oh, I'm a San Diego police. It's like, you're a police officer? He's like, yeah. And I was like, bullshit. He goes, why do you think that's bullshit? I said, because you're at a bar doing shots and getting drunk. He was like, well, that's not illegal, is it? I said, not to my knowledge. He goes, yeah. He goes, I live down the street and I walk here. It's like, oh, really? He's like, why don't you think I'm a cop? I said, because you don't look like a cop. He goes, let me show you something. Just so we can get off this if I'm a cop or not. And he had like a sweater on like mine. He just like unzipped his jacket. He was like, and he kind of turns aside, and I see his Glock on him. It's like, oh, is that a Glock 19 or a Glock 22? Like, Glock 19. It's like, oh, yeah, cool. I said, so you carry? You still say you're staying with the police? He goes, and he pulls out his sweater. Sure as shit. San Diego Police Department. I was like, oh, cool. I said, you're not here for me or anything, are you? He was like, no, I'm just here to have a few drinks, man. I'm off tomorrow. I said, oh, very cool. He's like, why, should I be here for you? I said, I fucking hope not. I'm just here doing the same thing. Except I work tomorrow, but not till 3. He's like, oh. It's like, you're not driving, are you? I said, no, man. I just live like, and I told him where. He's like, oh, yeah. He's like, very cool. And so then I got really curious, and like my paranoia kind of kicks in, like, cop. And I started talking to the guy, and he was like very cool. He was like very candid, and typically I'm I wouldn't say anti-cop, we're like, I hate cops. But I try to avoid them. Like, if I can handle my own problems on my own, I'm cool. You know, when cops get involved, it's kind of a tricky situation because then they want to see your ID, they want to check your shit, they want to search you, they want to search your car. Anyway, they're looking for a reason to arrest somebody, and that is just a fact. They're looking for a reason to arrest somebody. I mean, yes, you know, on the side of the car it says San Diego's finest, protect and to serve. Sure, but you know, they're on the clock, and if they're coming out for whatever it is, you know, driving offense, domestic violence, you know, suspicious character, whatever it is, if they show up and do nothing, nothing happens, right? Then it's kind of like a waste of money. Now, so when they want to show up, they want to get somebody for something. So I tend to kind of just avoid them. I don't hate cops because I'm not going to let the few bad apples ruin the whole damn bunch. But let's face it, not all cops that are protect and serve. Sometimes they have their own personal agendas. Whatever. I'm not even going to go into that. This guy was cool. You know, when we started talking, and I was far more interested in his experience working with San Diego police. He was a little bit younger than me. I'll be 41, and ironically, exactly 7 days. Yeah, I would guess he was probably in his mid to late 30s. He looked a little bit younger than me. But yeah, we talked, and he was just like, we just talked. And I told him, like, I typically don't associate with police, only because usually when police come out, it usually doesn't work out bad for me. He's like, well, why do you think that is? I said, well, I don't know. Like, license, registration. Oh, do you mind if I search your car? Oh, do you have anything on you? Oh, will you step out of the car? And I'm just like, dude, it's just like the majority of times. And he goes, well, what about the other times? You say the majority of times. What about the other times? Have you ever had to call the police in your favor? And I said, that's a good point. Very, very rarely have I had to call the police to actually protect and serve me as a citizen. And he goes, well, how'd that work out for you? And I said, you know what? I'm not going to lie. Sometimes it gets turned around, and then all of a sudden I'm in question. But yeah, there has been a fraction of the majority of times that I've had to deal with local San Diego Police Department where they have actually been on my side and have actually doing their jobs. He was like, well, that's what we're supposed to do. And it was just a very interesting conversation. It really was. It really was, And I talked to him on, I asked him about, like, how do you feel about, like, sending people to jail for personal amounts of, like, say, marijuana. He's like, well, that's soon to be gone. He's like, he's like, you have to understand, most people don't understand this. The police do not make the laws. We are public servants. This is our job. We enforce the laws. Whether I agree with it or not, I have a supervisor that oversees what I do. So if the law says you can only be in possession of X amount of, say, marijuana, and depending on how it's packaged, is it for personal use or are you selling? Are you distributing? He goes, I don't make the laws, I enforce them. And I got somebody looking over my shoulder to make sure I enforce these laws. So it's not too different from your job. You may disagree that you think this is bullshit, but You got a supervisor looking over your shoulder saying you need to do your job. And the company says, this is how the job is done. So he was actually a really cool cop. And at the end of the night, he's like, yeah, just one more thing. Yeah, he's like, you know, he told me his age. It was like, I forget, it was like, he was younger than me. It was like 37, 38, something like that. He's like, yeah, I've been doing this for about 6 years. I'm actually thinking about getting out of it. My heart's not into it. My father was a cop. I thought I wanted to be a cop, but it really isn't for me. It's not worth it to me. He's like, and it's very tough. He goes, and what you guys don't see is like, you see us busting people for DUIs and busting people for having, personal amounts of marijuana. What you don't see is you don't see us getting those calls from a mother who beat the shit senseless till her infant son was brain dead. You don't see that. You don't see the domestic violence shit where, an ex-boyfriend in a fit of jealousy rage came and kicked open the door and, stabbed his ex-girlfriend 36 times. You don't get to see that shit. You don't get to see fucking mangled car accidents where some drunk driver ran a red light and smashed into a car, and a fucking baby's head squashed in between the window and a seat. So you don't see that. And he goes, and that's what troubles me. He goes, and that's why I'm looking for a new job. So the question comes, do I hate cops? No. I hate cops. Well, I wouldn't even say hate. That's a strong word. I do not like when I am on the other side of the stick, when I am the one under question, when I am the one getting maced, when I am the one having a gun pulled on me, when I'm the one getting my car impounded for no good reason other than I have expired tags, when I'm the one that refuses to be searched because I know my rights, and they make up some fucking bullshit story in order to arrest me, and then they can arrest me because now that I'm under arrest, whatever. That's what I hate. But like talking to this cop over a couple shots, he seemed pretty fucking cool. And I know there's a lot of you out there who hate cops blanketly, just hate cops. But a lot of them, I'm not going to even give a percentage or majority. A lot of cops are just there to do a fucking job. And, again, they don't make the laws. They enforce the laws because they are public servants and have a boss looking over their shoulder to make sure they enforce those laws. And, yeah. So that kind of changed my perspective a little bit to talk to a cop one-on-one over a couple shots and a couple beers. It kind of really changed my perspective. Like, it was like a regular guy. I wouldn't have even known the guy was a cop until I questioned him to prove that he was a cop, which I'm actually surprised he did. But yeah, that's just my unique experience based on this one experience tonight. Typically, I don't talk to cops. I don't deal with cops. I avoid cops because the majority of times it does not end well for me, or it's complicated. And the complications is not worth a headache. I just shun cops unless it's absolutely, positively necessary for my safety or my well-being.